Hello once again, my name is Jay with IceWare Incorporated, and I'm going to go over the spline today for IwMeasure. Actually, not the spline so much itself as far as what the video is going to show, but we're going to go through the controls for the spline. And I think in that way we'll basically be seeing the spline as well, and you can get a feel for that. The latter part of the video will show essentially how to use the spline to have a cheap tool in order to build a road or a wall or things of this nature, okay? And then there'll be one more video concerning IW Spline, which will be the actors. As this particular video is going to have some link to it, I'm going to be making an index to display within YouTube. And with that said, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and let's go ahead and get started. As we can see right over here, we've got this value of closed spline. So let's go ahead and come out a little bit. This is real straightforward, no magic. As soon as we click close spline, as we can see, if we come down here, we'll see that the spline is now being closed. And uncheck it, and the spline is going to open back up. Okay, so we check it again. Now let's go ahead and take care of the selected and unselected colors down here. For the selected color, what I'm really trying to get across is that if we select this segment here, we can see the line set, or this point, we can see that our line segment from here to here went green, and all the others are white. So if we wanted to change the unselected color, just click on the white there, change it to blue or purple, whatever you want to call that, and you can see that it changed here for us as well. We want it to be magenta, we get that little pink. We want it to go back to green, or not green, go back to green, but to be green like the selected color we can. We could use a yellow. We can come up there and get it back into the white shade. Okay, so that's not a big deal. Alright, now while we're down here, we may as well go a little bit slower through the sign controls. Okay, so let's just go ahead and open that up. Now the actor section and the spline section, they both control their own signs independently, so you can have them each set one way or the other, however you want it to be. Now I've already used the little lock button up here. Okay, I find that's the best way to work with a lot of blueprints. Go ahead and select it, lock it, and then you can unselect it here in World, of course. And because you've got it locked to this particular details pane, no matter what you have clicked on over here, it's still holding this for you. So it makes it a lot easier to view the text when we're looking at the signs, because these are text render components. They have got a material on them that causes them to always turn and face the camera. Therefore, they act like a billboard. But these are not billboards or anything of that nature. These are just text render components. And yes, the material is included. It's inside of the directory structure. Okay, so over here we've got our little checkbox that says the display signs, which basically that is a overall control for the signs. So if we don't want our signs, we just uncheck it. All right. Now here we have got the display the point, which means it's really trying to say point number or the actor name. So we click it off, we don't have it anymore. Then we've got the location, which is what we're referring to here as the world location. We turn that on or off. And we can flip on displaying the circumference, and down here we'll pick up our radius, diameter, and circumference. Okay. Then we've got rotation is next. Okay. So we've got this look at rotation, which is going is to look at rotation between point 0 and point 1, point 1 to point 2, etc. The point rotation itself is just as it says. It is the rotation of the spline point. Not so useful on this particular portion of the product dealing with the spline. In general, you hardly ever just rotate the points on something like IwMeasure, okay? But it can be useful when we come to the video for using IwMeasure with actors, okay? Because their rotation may be something that you wish to see. Okay, and then down here, of course, we've got these conversions. So if I click on that, I want the conversion done. okay, for the imperial measurements. Okay, then we can see now we can see that we've got, you know, uh, inches and feet and miles and all that wonderful stuff. We can do it in metric, that sort of thing going on. Then we've got these two items down here, okay, for display the bounding box and etc. etc. That is for the actors, and I will go through them when we're going through the actors and what I'm trying to get across with those. Sign location down here is trying to say where is the sign relative to the spline point. Okay, and right now it's set to be essentially 100 on the positive z-axis. So the location for the sign is essentially 100 centimeters above the spline point. All right. Then the text color we've got here. Now this has got a little issue, but I'm going to do a final video to speak about that, okay? Because that's something that Epic has to fix. And then we've got the text size. Right now I've got it set to 2 and 2 just to make it easier to see the text for the video. Alright. And then down here we can change the text material if we want. So that if you've got a different text material, okay, that you just absolutely love and you don't want to have the signs continuously facing you, or you want to merge the ability of this particular material in with your own material, then you could drag and drop your material right here and it would be used, okay, for the text render component of the sign. And then while we're down here, I'm going to go ahead and turn the signs off for just a second. And in that fashion, it makes it easier to see the arrows. The arrows essentially are pointing from the current position, okay, on the spline. Okay, so here we would have spline point 0, right? It's pointing from here to 1. 1 is pointing to 2, and then it just wraps back around again. And but the signs are essentially the same, okay, between the spline and the actors again. We can turn off the arrows if we wish. We can control the relative location of the arrows just the same way that we did with the signs. We can alter their color. So we can click here and flip that over like that, and we can get blue arrows. Or that was actually purple. And there's a turquoise arrow, and green arrows, whatever color arrows we want. And then we can change the size of our arrows once again. Okay, and currently it's set, just to be the default value of 1. So now we're done with those. Now let's go back up here and we'll go through some of the other controls that we have. Right now we have our spline closed, so we can close and close and open that again if we want. And then we've got a point for common distance. And if we put a point in here on the spline, okay, let's go ahead and get our signs open back up so that we can see them. Okay, the distance from the common point of 0 right here. Okay, distance from common point 0 is 0. All right, unless we go back up here and we want to say that the common point that we want to calculate everything from on the spline itself is 0.2. We put in 2, and now we're 2735 centimeters away from 0.2 in a straight line. We could come back here and we could say 1, which we already know because that's next, so it's going to be 1546. But if we go over here and get rid of that, we can say 3. Okay, now 3, this is the straight line distance from this point down here, a little ball, if you will, straight over here. 0, 1, and 2, right? So that is what that means. So you can maneuver the spline around to where you could set one point as a central point of how you wanted them all set up, okay? And then you could position however many other points you want around that, and because it's always dealing with a straight line, it's not coming off the length of the spline up to that point. It's a straight line length between the 2 points. Then once you had them all set up the way you wanted to, you could select yourselves actors, snap the actors to the spline, and delete the actors away from the spline, and you've got everything positioned. Alright, now when you're measuring the distances, what this little one here, all points have the same Z location, okay? And the reason I put this in was that what I was really after was, it's so easy, at least for me, maybe I'm a dummy, but at least for me, it's extremely easy to grab the Z-axis arrow, and if I'm not paying close enough attention, and then my spline point shot up 15,000 miles into outer space, alright? And I don't want to mess around with going ahead and typing it back in and getting it all set up nice and neat, because maybe I really don't even know what the value of it was, okay, because I've been messing around with it. So then I could go in here, I could put in a point number, okay, and check this box, and what IwMeasure will do is it will go ahead and set that point's Z location. So everything is nice and flat. Now this also comes up another thing that Epic needs to fix, but they've needed to fix it since day one, so don't hold your breath, okay? But that is the visualizer does not run once you update the spline, okay? The numbers displayed will be accurate, but the spline will look incorrect because the visualizer is not being run, and I cannot find a way to force the thing to run to update the visuals in the editor, okay? But it is so useful, I left it in, alright? And I'm sure there'll be questions about why doesn't the IwMeasure work correctly. Okay, now here we can set all points linear. That is because the default for a point when it is created on the spline is just for it to be set to a curve. And if you really, and this actually has lost some value because almost all of the measurements, okay, are done as straight lines and not following the curve. Now the length of the entire spline, which we have displayed down here, that is as reported by Unreal Engine, and the number of points as well, okay? And there is one value that we'll see in a little bit that does follow the curve, all right? So if you wanted to have all points linear, then if you check that, then the spline again will be updated. It will set each and every point to be a linear type, okay? And I can show you where that length is set up, but it'll be a linear type. But again, because the visualizer is not being run, the spline will look like it's incorrect visually. It is not incorrect visually. I mean, it is incorrect visually, but the numbers as displayed by IwMeasure are not. Now, for essentially, we're going to skip the spline circumference controls, and then we're going to go through the measured spline here real quick, okay? Because let's say you don't like the signs you don't like. So you have them turned off. Alright, there's IwMeasure. Boy, that's awesome. You got some arrows, you got some line segments. Maybe you've even clicked here and got yourself a green segment line, okay? I really hate the way that the lighting works at times. So you got this green segment line and you're going, well, that's interesting. Yeah, alright, and I paid money for this, huh? Okay, so over here we have got each one of they've got this little array set up called the measured spline. Each one of the array elements is essentially where the information is being stored. Alright, So once again, we've got the actor or point, okay? So this is for point 0. Well, duh, here's, it's a 0th element array, but still, that's beside the point. Then we have got the world location. Essentially, we've got all of the information plus some that we would have on the spline. All right, and then we got all these distances, and then we can flip them to the conversion values, that sort of thing going on. And we got to look at rotation, blah 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 blah. These two are for the actor, of course, and then the actor volume. We have no actors down here, so we don't care. Okay, and then because we're looking at point 0, the point distance on the spline, which is, this is where it'll make a difference between linear and the curved spline point types, okay? And then we've got the tangent and the local location, okay, for the spline point. And that is for point 0, which is less interesting than the rest of them. So here's for point 1. Okay, we've got the point distance on the spline at 1623, so it's following the curve. It's getting the length of the curve, because if we come up here and we compare that, right, to the distance to the next actor's point, all right, we're looking at 1854, all right. So down here we've got the point tangent coming in, we've got the local location, all right. And then we've got all of that information for all the rest of the points themselves. Right? Excuse me. And at this point in time, we're going to go ahead and shift away back over to here. All right. And here is the splines, the circumference controls for the spline. Now, in truth, the introductory video showed this about as as good as there's really no need to go over this part. This is what it does. If you need to measure a circle, here you go. Measure out a circle for a given a circumference size or a radius or whatever you want, or help you to visualize it. Now, this is where we start getting into, we can build a wall with this, okay? And that's the reason we came over here. I'm not going to focus on the circumference at all. And we come down here to IwMeasure, right? And we grab ourselves, we go into the demo map that comes with the product for a little bit, take a look at some static meshes, and let's grab, and instead of using this ring, okay, and we're locked onto a different one. We need to go over here to this details, because we're still on that tab of being locked to the prior IwMeasure, right? And let's go here, and we still want to display the circumference, but let's get that going between the 2 points. Now let's go up here. Let's drop ourselves in a rock. And because we got our little rock in there, and I don't want to see the signs at all now. So we need to go down here to Sign Controls and turn it off. Okay? And I have no idea if the awesome okay, so there's our rock. Okay, we hold down the Alt key because we can keep on making these. We can just make ourselves another rock. Another rock. Oh, there's another rock. Imagine that. And another rock. Right? And then we could go in here and grab our rocks. Move that rock around if we want. Change its size. Or the 2 rocks that we've got. See what I'm getting at? Because if we really wanted to just work with the 1 rock, right? Check that. Go over here and make ourselves a big old rock. But you could put anything on there that your little heart desired. We can put this little dilly whomper right here. Okay? And all of a sudden we have got a string. of tabletops. And what is a road or a wall, okay, or anything like that, except for consecutive spline or consecutive meshes, okay, being put together. And in this fashion, you can manipulate them by having the spline. So, this is not nearly as good as IwSpline. IwSpline does so much more for you in constructing roads, like it allows you to go in and alter the materials for it, for a particular mesh. It allows you to use multiple meshes on a spline. Yada, 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 yada. I could talk for another 45 minutes about that, okay, and not get beyond building roads. But the point is that with this right here, if you don't need all the power that IwSpline has, okay, and you just need to make a hedgerow or something like that to where you can bend and flex things around, this is definitely one way to do it, okay. And heck, I guess that's really about it. We can wrap the video up at this point, I think. And I want to thank you for your time once again, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope that you also have a very good day. Thank you, and goodbye.